Hi, Jim Williams here. We are on my home golf course, Old Natchez Country Club, Nashville, Tennessee, and we're in the middle of our weekly blog on how to play better golf on the golf course. So now we're going to talk a little short game, and specifically, when do you chip and when do you pitch? And so the variables that you need to pay attention to are a couple really basic things. Number one is how much air time or ground time do you need to decide between? So here's an example. Here's a shot right here. I'm about 2 steps off the fringe, off the green. Got some fuzzy kind of rough here. I could putt it, all right? But putting is a little tricky with this grass here. It's a little spongy. If it was really shorn down, I'd probably say putt it. But what I'm going to recommend is that you chip it with a club like an 8 or a 9 iron. So here's the thing with chipping. Chipping is sort of like a glorified putting stroke almost. And what you want to do is set yourself up in a position where you put a little bit of lean on the club and you lean your weight just a little bit forward. And essentially, what I like to teach people to do is start with the ball in the middle of my feet, a nice narrow stance, right off my zipper, just like this. Then I'm going to lean forward a little bit, sort of like the leaning tower. And I'm going to get my nose just in front of the ball. What I want to do is make sure that I can scuff the grass just like this. Now, one of the problems a lot of people do is they push their hands too far forward and they're trying to hit down on the ball too much. That is not what you want to do with a good chip. A good chip has a nice brushing motion to it, just like this. If you go like this, there's too much collision with the ground. So you do not want to do that. The key to avoiding that is how you position yourself. So we're going to set up with the feet close together, club face nice and level on the ground, and we're going to lean a little bit. Now you'll notice that the club and my left arm are pretty much a straight line. That's all the angle that you need. You do not need an excessive kink in the angle between your arm and the club. So let me show you this. We're going to chip a nice little brush shot just like this. We're going to set up, lean forward, and we're just going to bump the ball on the green and let it roll out just like that. Just missed it. That was a good roll. Gives you a chance to make an easy par. So it's not a very difficult shot. The mistakes that most people make, again, are leaning either too far forward with too much angle, or even worse, setting up behind the ball, hitting a lot of fat shots like that. This is your center line. Your center line needs to be in front of the golf ball. That's probably the single most important principle that I want to help you with to make you a better chipper. So if you get set up and you put the ball in the middle, you lean your weight forward just a little bit, you take your center line and it moves just in front of the ball. That's the key to hitting a nice little bump shot just like that and getting a nice little roll out to the green. So now we're going to do a chipping idea here. Now if you move back farther, we're going to go back there. We're going to talk about pitching and getting the ball more airborne and the variables that need to change. Okay, so now we move back a little bit. So I missed the green a little bit farther back. I got a lot more space between me and the hole. So there's probably 20, 25 feet of fringe. So go ahead and pan up there. You can kind of see that. There's a lot more carry distance. See, before we were right on the fringe, and we didn't have to actually carry the ball very far. So technically that's a chip shot. It's a low shot. It doesn't go very high. It just rolls most of the way. Well, now I got a lob wedge, or you can take a sand wedge, lob wedge, either way. And now I'm much farther back. So I've got to carry probably 3/4 of the total distance in the air. So I'm going to take a lofted club. I'm going to change a few things. First and foremost, I'm going to set the club a little bit more. So a chip is more of a pendulum, kind of a one-piece kind of a motion. You can set the wrists a little bit, but for this particular shot, I like to hinge a little bit more. And I'm not going to say that you can't do it very together like that. A lot of great players do that. But I would say if you're in the rough a little bit and you want to get the ball up in the air slightly, I would allow the club to hinge a little bit. The other thing I would do is maybe widen my stance a little bit, stay leaning forward just like before, but we're going to make the club work a little bit more down into the ground. It's going to pop the ball up in the air. So what we want to do here is create a little more carry to the shot. So we're going to go up here, carry the ball up a little bit farther, and try to get the ball to pitch up onto the landing surface. That's the goal here with this shot, is whereas before we were going to chip it low, now we want to carry the ball most of the way to the putting green. So if you're practicing or you're on the golf course and you're not sure which shot, what you should really look at is, number one, the lie. That's always important. If you have a really dicey lie, okay, it's going to maybe change your strategy. If you had a ball in a divot or something like this, you may have to bump the ball low and roll it up. But if you have a pretty good lie or a normal lie, you can go ahead and do the normal pitching motion. Maybe open the club a little bit, lean a little forward, set the club a little more up, and pitch the ball a little bit farther in the air. The key, again, is to figure out how far do you have to carry it versus how far you have to roll it. A pitch shot, by definition, is a higher shot with a lot more carry. So change clubs, change the swing a little bit, pitch the ball up on the green. with a little bit of practice, you can get really good at controlling these shots and hopefully lower your scores. So good luck with this.